Welcome to math class. You'll have to forgive me if my voice sounds a little froggy today. I seem to be having some sort of throat issue. But anyways, we are starting on Unit 2 in the MathWorks 10 textbook. I realize I forgot to put that up there. MathWorks 10, Unit 2, Earning and Income. And we are actually starting with wages and salaries. This should be a good unit. This is something you're actually going to use. Probably the most math you're ever going to use for the rest of your life involves how you're going to get your money and how much of it you're getting or not getting, depending on how good your boss is. So we are going to start on page 76. We're going to tune up our basics a little bit. We're going to be looking at improper fractions. So we look at the, it's going to come in importance later on, but it's a good little sort of warm-up activity. So for improper fractions, looking at the example there, in the textbook they give us the example of, let me change my text color here. Let's go with white, see how that turns up. In the example they give us 188 over 12. So to change an improper fraction into a mixed number or a mixed fraction, we divide the numerator by the denominator and we get a fraction. So 188 divided by 12, 12 gives us 15 with a remainder of 8. So this is kind of annoying to deal with. We can eventually turn it into decimal, but what we're going to do for now is we're just going to keep it easy and we're going to actually leave it as a fraction. So we're going to get 15 and 8 over 12. But as always with fractions, we always want to reduce. Okay. Looking at 8 over 12, we can look at it and we know that there are a handful of different factors for 12. We have 2, 3, 4, 6, so on and so forth. I know that 4 goes into 8 twice, so I'm going to reduce this down to 2. 4 goes into 12 3 times. I take my original number and I get 15 and 2/3. Easy peasy, hopefully. Oop. It's not going to work, is it? So, clear off our board. If we look at the example in the book off of page 76, 1A, they give us 29 over 7 to start with. So I'm going to look at how many times my bottom number can go into my top number. I know that 28 is I know that 7 eventually goes into 28 nice and easy. It actually goes in 4 times. So I am left with 4 full units, 4 7 over 7s. It's easier to remember that way. I have 4 7 over 7s, and I'm also left with 1 over 7. Okay? So all I have to do to figure those out is I take my top number, divide it by my bottom number. I get 4 with a remainder of 1. So I'm going to take this number, my 1 goes back over my bottom number from over here. I keep the same one from there. So I get 4 and 1/7. So take a minute here, finish up the other examples on that page. There's 5 other ones, and we're going to move on to question and example number 2. Or sorry, topic number 2. So what we got to do here is we also have to be able to do the same action the opposite way. So if they give us a mixed fraction like 5 and 6/11ths, I have to be able to turn it into an improper fraction. So I'm going to take my full number, multiplied by the bottom. So I get 5 times 11 equals 55. Then I'm going to add the remainder that was left over. So I have 55 plus 6 equals 61. And I get this whole thing. I put it over the original denominator, numerator. Man, I'm really getting sick today. I'm not going to edit that out. I think I screwed that up, but I'm just going to leave it anyway. So that's example number 2 on page 77. So you can take a minute here, go ahead and pause the video if you'd like, and finish questions B through F. Go ahead and look on the bottom of page 77 for our next topic, which is gross pay. So we're actually going to look at the example there first. So they've got a guy down there, Marcus. They tell us that Marcus is an electrician. He's making $24.68 an hour as a wage. That's what they're telling that they're paying him, $24.68 per hour. So we also know that it takes him 15 hours to do one particular job. So what he's got to figure out is how much money is Marcus going to make? Well, this is really, really easy. I've got an hourly wage over here per hour. I know that there are 15 hours, so I'm actually going to just simply multiply 24.68 times 15. And I keep writing my second number first. And I actually get a total of 370.20. So go ahead and slide on down to page 78. And we are going to look at question 3 as an example very quickly. So as always with word problems, the first thing we need to do is we need to turn our English into math. We need to write an equation. So I know that Martha is working as a window dresser, so she actually charges $16.72 per hour. It takes her 5 hours to finish the job. She wants to know what's her total going to be. So nice and easy equation. I take my hourly wage, $16.72, and multiply it by the number of hours it's going to take to complete the job, and I figure out a total, $83.60. Just like that. So go ahead and do questions 4 and 5. See how you handle those. And then we're going to move on. So we are going to look at page 79, the example of Chi here. So this is somebody who basically he's looking at his paycheck. He can't remember exactly what his hourly wage on the contract he signed was. So he knows that he was working 34 hours, and he knows that he got a total of $329.12. So we're actually going to do the same process we used from the previous question, but we're going to do it in reverse. So the way we do that is we take our total, and I'm going to do the opposite of multiplication. I'm going to do division, and I'm going to divide it by 34. When I do that, I find out that she is making $9.68 per hour. Okay. So if we flip the page, we'll do an example. Oh, actually, so it's right on that same page. We're going to do question 6 very quickly together. Oops, went a little too far with my finger there. So question 6, we have Liliana. She's working in Grand Prairie. So she earns $45,183.36 working in Grand Prairie. So she wants to know, what is her average monthly income? Well, we know that there are 12 months in a year. So we're going to take our total, 45,183.36 divided by 12, And we find out that she was making about $3,765.28 per month. Yeah. What they want to know with her weekly income, oh, I'm going to let you try that one on your own. Just remember that there are 52 weeks in a year, and you should be able to do 6B on your own. And we're going to move on. Also try doing 7 and 8 on the opposite page. Now we're going to start combining a couple of steps here. So in the previous questions, we were essentially just doing one operation. We had a total, we needed an hourly wage or a weekly or a monthly salary. Or we've done the opposite where we have an hourly wage and we need to calculate what a total gross pay would be. What we're going to do now is we're actually going to have to do a couple things. We're going to have to calculate how many hours we worked in a week. I basically had to do this every week of my life while I was in university, working in restaurants with notoriously shady management. You always had to keep track of your hours to make sure you're actually getting the money that you were owed. So we have Antonio there, who has his time card. You should hopefully be doing this with the workbook in front of you. So I'm going to shorten this up to eventually basically what we're going to get as an equation. So if we look at that time card, what we see is that he winds up with a total of 5 hours plus 5 1/2 hours plus 6 hours plus 5 hours plus 5 1/2 hours, like that. And we're going to have to add those up. This is where our little practice from earlier in the video is going to come in. We have to make these numbers that are a little bit easier to work with. Or if we look at it, and I know that 1/2 plus 1/2 is always going to give me 2/2, which is equal to 1. I can also just cancel those out and add another one onto the back of my equation here. And so what I wind up with is 5 plus 5 plus 6 plus 5 plus 5 plus 1, and I get a total of 27 hours. I'm going to put 27 hours over here, bust out my eraser. What do we do once we figured out how many hours I worked? That's the easy part. We know that his wage was 15 bucks, 85 cents an hour. He worked 27 hours. He gets a total of $430.70. So that is 2.1-ish, at least the first part of it. So what we need for the end of tomorrow's class, or homework check, is going to be all of the examples that we covered there, as well as page 82, 9, and 10. All right, see you in class.